When I first started growing strawberries, I made every rookie mistake possible. From overcrowding plants to using the wrong soil, my first harvests were underwhelming. Tiny berries, poor flavor, and barely enough to snack on. But over the years, through trial, error, and advice from seasoned gardeners, I discovered a simple method that consistently delivers massive harvests. Yes, even in containers. And today, I'm going to share all the secrets with you so you can grow juicy, sweet strawberries on your balcony, porch, or patio. No garden bed required. The magic of container-grown strawberries lies in control. When you grow in pots, you can tailor the soil, manage pests more easily, and move your plants to catch the sun or avoid bad weather. But getting it right takes more than just dropping a few plants in a random pot. You need the right container, the right variety, and the right care, especially at key growth stages. Let's start with containers. Strawberries have shallow roots, so depth isn't as important as width. Ideally, your container should be at least 12 inches deep and 18 inches wide for a few plants. But my favorite setup? A stackable vertical planter or hanging basket. These save space and let you grow dozens of plants in a small area. Just make sure the container has excellent drainage. Strawberries hate soggy roots. If you're using upcycled containers, poke extra holes in the bottom and consider adding gravel or a mesh layer to keep the soil loose and well drained. Next, soil. This is where many beginners go wrong. Regular garden soil is too dense and lacks the nutrients strawberries crave. Mix your own potting blend using 1 part high-quality compost, 1 part peat moss or coconut coir, and 1 part perlite for drainage. The soil should be slightly acidic, with a pH between 5.5 and 6.5. To boost your yields even further, amend with worm castings or aged manure before planting. Your strawberries will thank you with extra sweet fruit. Now, choosing the right variety is key. If you're growing in containers, go with everbearing or day-neutral varieties like Albion, Seascape, or Mara de Bois. These types produce fruit over a longer season, giving you multiple harvests from spring into fall. June-bearing varieties can still work but will produce one large flush, perfect if you want to freeze or jam a bunch at once. Once you've got your container, soil, and variety selected, planting is simple. Space each plant about 10 inches apart. Bury the roots, but leave the crown. That's where the leaves meet the roots, just above the soil. Water thoroughly after planting, and place the container in a sunny spot. Strawberries need at least 6 to 8 hours of sunlight a day to thrive. Now for the secret sauce: ongoing care. The biggest mistake I see is gardeners ignoring strawberries after planting. But consistent watering is critical, especially in containers that dry out fast. Aim to keep the soil moist but not soaked. Stick your finger into the soil every day or two. If it feels dry an inch down, it's time to water. Alright, so here's the thing about strawberries. They're quite the heavy feeders, really. Regular feeding is, well, absolutely essential. I like to fertilize with a balanced liquid fertilizer or a nice compost tea every couple of weeks during the growing season. You can also sprinkle a slow-release organic fertilizer every 6 weeks or so. And if you're aiming for those huge, juicy berries, consider adding a bit of kelp or seaweed extract. It's rich in micronutrients and natural growth stimulants, which is just fantastic for your plants. As the plants grow, you'll want to remove runners, those long stems that try to make baby plants. While they're helpful for propagation, they actually take energy away from fruit production. Unless you're aiming to grow more plants, just snip them off early. Also, keep your eyes peeled for pests like aphids and slugs. A diluted neem oil spray works wonders, and honestly, it's safe for containers and edibles. Once the berries begin to ripen, go ahead and harvest them early and often. The more you pick, the more the plant will produce, which is pretty cool. Don't wait for the berries to get overly ripe on the plant. Pick them when they're fully red for the best flavor. If you leave them too long, they'll attract pests and start to rot, which is never fun. Lastly, here's a little-known trick. After your first big harvest, give the plants a trim. Cutting back some of the leaves and giving them a light fertilizer boost can actually trigger a second round of blooms and fruit later in the season. And when winter approaches, just mulch the top of the container with straw or compost to insulate the crowns, or bring the container into a sheltered area if you're in a cold climate. So, there you have it. The complete container strawberry method that's given me pounds of berries from just a few square feet. With the right setup and a little care, you'll be harvesting handfuls of sweet, sun-ripened strawberries all season long.